The Chiefs get exciting news on Hollywood Brown, and we're going to talk about it. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom, ACU crew. We appreciate you guys being here this morning. We're going to talk some Chiefs football, Mike. But first, this live stream is sponsored by BetUS.
Yeah, head over to betus.com. Check out what they got going on right now. If you use the code YouTube150, you get 150% deposit match bonus on your first deposit. And then on your next two, you're going to get 125% deposit match bonuses. Those are up to $2,000, so take advantage of all those free plays. The site's easy to use, plenty of props. Go to betus.com, use the promo code YouTube150. Let them know All Chiefed Up sent you their way. Steve, we got a little bit of fun news today on our boy Hollywood Brown.
Let's go, baby.
Actually broke yesterday in the middle of all the games. And here's Ian Rapoport. Here's what he had to say.
Kansas City Chiefs are expected to get Hollywood Brown back potentially, or I would say likely, before the end of the regular season. He has an appointment week 15 for final clearance. Could play week 16 or 17.
Did I hear the word likely?
Likely.
This is what
he says. Help is on the way. He has an appointment in week 15 with his surgeon for final clearance. Sources are telling Ian Rapoport one that likely allows him to play in week 16 or 17. Steve, that's only 2 weeks away would be that appointment. So things are looking up. We're getting a little bit of juice back in the tank here.
Getting a little healthier. I mean, it was nice to have Pop and Charles Omenihu back last week, and it'll be nice to get Hollywood Brown back. Mike, this team is already very, very good on paper. They've had their struggles. They're trying to get their shit together. Okay? Yeah. They're 11-1. They don't quite look like they're that dominant, but I know it can be. And they keep getting healthier. So like I said, Omenihu back, Pop back, and then if we got Hollywood Brown back too, that wide receiver room is by far the best that Mahomes has ever had, right?
Yeah, it sucks that Rashee Rice had to be injured and be added into all this mess. But it sucks even more in a way that we never even got to see Hollywood. They went out in the offseason and they went and got him a good receiver. They got him a fast, speedy guy, somebody that could get open, beat man, eat up his own. And him and Mahomes had a little rapport during the offseason. They were building it up pretty nicely. And then he catches one ball versus Jacksonville. Forget Jacksonville. If we ever have to play them on their home turf in the preseason ever again, it's out.
We should just play the practice squad.
Yeah, forfeit that one. Let's get that over with. Don't ever go to Jacksonville and play a game ever again because you know a wide receiver is going to have an SC joint problem. Just don't do it. And I think that's the solution going forward here. But, Steve, I think getting Hollywood Brown back would be a huge spark here because we've seen it with Pop. I mean, he looked pretty good. He actually broke one off for a decent amount the other day. That's the one thing that's the only thing Kareem Hunt hasn't been able to deliver is that long, home run hitter type thing. But he got it in his first game back. Pop looks juiced up. We got, Omenihu coming back, helped that pass rush. You finally seen Chris Jones get back on the board. You seen George Karlaftis get back on the board. I think all that's going to come around. We need a big boost here to the wide receiver crew because if we could get DeAndre Hopkins a little bit of help, because right now, Steve, the number 2 wide receiver ranked on this team, according to PFF, is Mecole Hardman. And I know there's a lot of Mecole Hardman lovers out there, but if he's your clear-cut number 2, you might have a little bit of a problem.
Well, I think that goes along with the fact that he gets no snaps, so it's easier to have a higher score.
He doesn't play as many snaps, yeah.
But honestly, I mean, in my opinion, the second best receiver is Xavier Worthy, and then probably Juju Smith-Schuster. But you see Justin Watson get a lot more looks than Juju, or sometimes it seems like more than anyone else. But that's right, though. I like the dynamic of having Hollywood Brown back. It puts another guy on the field with extreme speed like Xavier Worthy. You're going to have 2 guys on the field that can run a 4.2 40. That's a lot of speed for teams to worry about while you're also worrying about Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins beating the hell out of you. So, I mean, you get Pop cut back, get that run game going. Yeah, Kareem Hunt's been killing it. So you got that 1-2 punch now. I just think it's just a matter of time before Mahomes gets his feet under him, gets a little bit more comfy. It all kind of boils down to that left tackle position, right? Does DJ Humphries step in here and perform? Does he give Mahomes a little bit of comfort? Because if he does, man, it could get nasty for other teams.
Well, going back to the wide receiver, you mentioned Juju, you mentioned Xavier. Both of those, I think Xavier Worthy, somewhere in an alternate reality, in a different timeline, Xavier Worthy is pushing 1,000 yards receiving. If Mahomes and him just had a little bit more chemistry,
right?
If there was a few things to go right, Xavier Worthy's probably looking. He's in the Rookie of the Year running if it wasn't just a quarterback award. So, I mean, he probably can pretty much outperform Marvin Harrison Jr. if everything's going right, and Mahomes catches him on a couple deep balls, and he's suddenly got 6-7 touchdowns on the year. So, I like where he's headed. It looks like he's progressing on the same path as Rashee Rice. Maybe not as much, but Rashee Rice kind of he didn't have any receivers to help him along. Rashee Rice kind of had to figure it out on his own, and I think he took Travis Kelce. He seen how Kelce could sit down in the zone, beat up on guys like that, and kind of do his own
create after
thing.
the catch.
Yeah, and I think that's what he modeled his game after, and that got him over the hump because there was no receivers to look up to. At least Worthy kind of has Hopkins, even though they don't play the same style. He's got a little bit from Mecole Hardman, even though that's more his style. But, it is what it is. I think Juju's fine, but Juju's just not going to perform the way everybody thought Juju was going to perform. His health's been an issue, and that's why we didn't want to sign him the first time. He had a big game against the Saints. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, Justin Watson's kind of been the guy that's just – he's not really lived up to the full expectations, but, hey, he's a hustle player.
Are there really expectations for Justin Watson?
I think when he got signed, and according to the Chiefs, he's always Mahomes' reliability guy. So I think there was a little bit of an expectation that maybe he would be a little more of a contributor, I guess. But, I mean, right now he's literally out of every wide receiver that's taken snaps that is on the roster currently, he is the lowest rated per PFF at receiving grade. So he doesn't do as much as you would like him to do in the receiving game. Now, did they really ask him to do a lot? Not necessarily, but we'll see. And then back to your question about DJ Humphries, man, you got to fast track that kid. He's got to be playing this week. Like what we see from Wanya was just, good God, I don't even know what to say. That's the most piss poor effort I've ever seen.
Yes, Wanya, we don't like you right now. You gotta get back in the good graces.
Well, the
brother,
thing about Wanya
didn't even look like you were trying out there, man.
Right. When we signed DJ Humphries, we were looking through, and we've already had this conversation before, all the way back to the beginning of the season. We felt like Kingsley. Well, in general, I think the Chiefs should have brought somebody in to begin with. You should have brought in a free agent such as a Donovan Smith, bring him back early. You should have went and looked at a Bakhtiari. Somebody should have been in that room teaching those young guys some techniques and how to play the position. Whether they can play on Sunday or not, teach the young guys something. They got something to teach. Kingsley had nobody to push him throughout camp, and he was basically given the job. He was thrown to the wolves, put on an island for 75% of his blocks, and then yanked after Trey Hendrickson beat him in the last portion of the game. Then Wanya comes in, and like I said, Wanya looked decent at times, and when it was all said and done, he kind of did look better than Kingsley, so I feel like that was a decent move. And all we said was when DJ Humphries got signed was that Wanya probably wouldn't get the starting job just yanked from him if he put up a fight. But the kid did not. He laid down. Since we signed DJ Humphries,
he bent over and spread his cheeks, bro.
Right. He played his worst 2 games of the year. So at this point, he give up on everything, and you can blame injury, you can blame whatever you want. But when we signed Humphries, I don't think they intentionally signed him to start him immediately as fast as they could. I thought maybe they thought Wanya could learn a few things, and maybe Wanya would lose it here and there. But Wanya just crapped the bed fast. Like, he went downhill, like, quickly.
Not good. Not good. You guys rolling in. Welcome in. Chiefs got exciting news on Hollywood Brown. Looks like he could be back, likely to be back, according to, was it
Ian
Schefter
Rapoport.
or Ian Rapoport? Rapoport. Yeah, likely to be back. mid-December or something like that. So that's awesome news. And we're going to talk about what that brings back to the offense and everything like that. And of course, that got to start on the offensive line. But welcome in. Do us a favor, hit that like button real quick. It just takes a second and helps us get out to more people. So we would appreciate that. Mike, we got a freaking 5-bomb from Hannah. She says Hollywood coming back and giving QB1 time to throw the dang ball with Humphries on left tackle. We will start to cook. Mahomes is on pace to get sacked 50 damn times, Mike. That's the thing. It's like we got Hollywood Brown back, add a new element to the offense, another weapon for Mahomes. But none of it ultimately matters if you can't get him comfortable and his offensive line is not protecting him. And we've seen that all throughout the year because I think since the acquisition of DeAndre Hopkins and Kelsey started to pick it back up a little bit, we have pieces on the field. Xavier Worthy, like you said, he's had a good rookie season. It could be even better if Mahomes could find some comfort level there. So it's really, really hinging on this DJ Humphries thing, isn't it?
Yes and no. I will say that we've talked about this at nauseum. Jawan Taylor's got to get it together, too. He's not looked any better. Wanya give up 6 sacks. Jawan Taylor's given up 6 sacks. So as bad as Wanya's looked, guess who's over there saying, hold my beer? And he's getting paid $80 million.
The $80 million man, yeah.
So again, yes, getting Wanya out and getting DJ Humphries in is better. It is better. But is it the end-all be-all? You can't really say that. Mahomes is on pace to be sacked a crap ton. But if you look at it, again, Kingsley give up 3 sacks. He's been attributed 3 sacks. Wanya's been attributed 6. Jawan Taylor's been attributed 6. That is 15 sacks. So all these other sacks are just miscommunication sacks. They're on Mahomes. They're on something. They're just on good game plans. They're just on just good timed blitzes. There's something there. Corners, safeties, linebacker blitzes, things like that. But our offensive line is only, I think Trey's maybe giving up 1 or 2, but I don't think Creed or Tooney has given up a sack this year. So we'll just say 16, 17 sacks are because of our offensive line. The rest of these are coming from other things that we have to fix as well.
Absolutely. Elizabeth with the 20 bomb. She says, I agree with the point made earlier that the Chiefs are a really good team on paper, just not necessarily performing like it. What are the top 2 to 3 things that need to happen for the Chiefs to play as expected with this roster?
Ooh.
Appreciate the 20, Elizabeth, and a hell of a question here. Love
That's
the question,
one, man. Hey, Steve, she's putting us on the spot. She's like, look, if you're going to Monday morning quarterback on a Monday morning, I want some specifics.
She said, tell me.
She said, I want you to pull out your inner Andy Reid and tell me what's wrong. Steve,
Well,
I'll
Mike,
give one.
Go ahead.
The top 2 to 3 needed to happen for the Chiefs to play as expected with this roster. I think Mahomes has to get back to being a little more accurate, getting in sync with his receivers a little bit. And that comes with maybe injuries. That comes with maybe the offensive line getting short up. So I think all that kind of goes hand in hand. I think that's a big one is, Mahomes getting a little more comfortable. It looks like he's aiming the ball at times. It really does. It doesn't look like he's throwing like that miss to Xavier Worthy. Yes, he was under pressure, but Worthy had the guy on his hip. He was outrunning him. Mahomes just, you know what I mean? It's just he's a tick-off everywhere, especially with Worthy.
For sure. I'll add one here, man. And here's the thing. Like, I think Mahomes mentioned it in his post-game press conference, but it seems like sometimes the offense is fire, and it seems like sometimes the defense is really good. Sometimes special teams is good. But it's like everything's never really clicking together. They got to figure out how to get it all together. And Mike, I think the thing for me is they have to start executing in the red zone and on 3rd down. Like, that's the main thing. Like, just pure execution, no mistakes, no dumb penalties. The play calling's got to calm down a little bit. It's got to be a little bit less predictable.
You're encompassing a lot of things within point number 2 because point number 3 was going to be play calling. I think Andy Reid them's got to take a little bit of accountability here, and they've got to get the offense. Once they get in the red zone, look, we got to stop the shovel pass every time.
Yeah, I mean, it's so predictable.
Quit with that.
It's so predictable. It's not working.
They need to commit to the run game just a tad bit more. When Pop comes back, he gets 7 carries. Kareem Hunt actually goes from getting 20 a game down to 7. So they get 14 combined, and during the streak where our offense was starting to look good and pick up the pace, Kareem Hunt's, putting up 20, 22, 23 carries a game. So you can't have that. And then Andy's coming to the mic after every game saying, we need to run the ball more. We need to run the ball more. He said this 2 weeks in a row, and then he comes out and runs the ball 14 times.
Right.
So they know it. They know it.
Yeah. But
I think that's the 3.
Back to my point, though. Third down has to get better on both sides of the
So you're
football.
just saying execution.
Just, yes, in critical situations, I should say. If like third down in red zone, that's my thing. Third down, we have way too many 3 and outs. We can't sustain drives. Our defense is always on the field, which in turn makes it to where it doesn't matter if it's 3rd and 72. It's likely they're converting. Like, we give up so many third downs, it's unreal. So if they could lock down third downs on both sides of the ball and then punch the ball in the damn end zone when we're in the red zone. I'm so tired of taking field goals. We can't ever beat a team, put a team away, get out to a good lead, because all we do is get down there, stall out, and kick a field goal. It happens time and time and time again. If they could execute in critical situations, which if any team in the world should be able to do that, it should be this team with the most clutch people in the world on their team. I think it's time they get that together, man.
Right.
And how do they do that? That's another question. It just how do you do that? Use the pieces that you have. There's been way too many times where they get in the red zone and you see DeAndre Hopkins on the sideline. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? You got one of the best red zone targets of all time, possibly, and he's on the sideline while you're in the red zone. And they have corrected that a little bit. He's got a few touchdowns here and there. But same with third down. Just start using your playmakers, man. Instead of coming out and trying to get cute and do stupid play calls, just use your guys that you have. Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce is one of the most reliable quarterback to receiver combos in the history of the NFL. And then, like I said, you got guys like DeAndre Hopkins and even Juju. Just use the pieces you have and quit trying to get too cute.
Well, in a time that our wide receiver core, injury prone, this and that, everything else, we've been doing a lot of stuff. We've actually got a positive out of this. You've seen what Noah Gray can do, given a little bit of extra snaps and given a little bit of extra attention. So I think you found Noah Gray as another potential weapon there. So I think there's a lot of things here, Elizabeth. I appreciate the 20, and I think that's a question that could just go on and on and on, to be honest. But I think the majority of it is execution, and I think play calling's a little bit inside the red zone as well. I think that's a big one. And all that is predicated on maybe injuries and protecting Mahomes a little bit better as well. But I'd love to see – I just think this offense would be so much better, Steve. And we maybe not even talking about this, and maybe not even talking about being, the Chiefs is dominant as 11-1, blah, blah, blah. If Xavier Worthy and Mahomes' connection were just a little better, and say they had just 75% of the miscues they've had have actually went our way – these offensive and some of these games could have been totally different.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, there's a lot of these games I feel like could be a whole different thing. Like, it's always come down to one silly play or like the other team just botching stuff. It should never have had to been that way with a lot of these games, because they've had so many opportunities, every one of them, to get out to a better lead and to actually put a team away and just win a game comfortably. It's just about cashing in on your opportunities when you have them, and they have not been doing that. But appreciate the 20, Elizabeth. Great question. Hannah with the 5 bomb says Andy has become enamored with the sexy trick play calling. He needs to run the ball because that's what opens up play action. The Eagles are using that playbook well. So kind of what we were talking about, it's normal for Andy to have, a little some bells and whistles on there to kind of spruce things up a little bit, make it look fancy. He likes being a fancy pants.
See, we've ran the most trick plays out of anybody in football to this point. It's not even close.
Andy Reid needs to do the fancy pants dance.
Yeah, he needs a fancy pants dance for sure.
And you know what? That's okay from time to time. But when it becomes the norm and when it becomes predictable that you're going to do a trick play, is it really a trick play? Is it really something that's going to catch the other team off guard when it's something you're just constantly doing? Especially, most of the time you don't see it till we get in the red zone, and that's why we stall out, because we're trying some annexation of Puerto Rico type shit.
The annexation,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
What are we doing?
I wish we just had a guy over there with some sticky on his gloves. Somebody's got to catch that. So, yeah, I'm with you. I do. We do tend to see more of the trick plays in the red zone, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense because that tends to be when we stall out the most. So I would feel like Andy would be like, something's going on here. What do you
I don't know, man.
Maybe something's going on.
Mike Andy takes too many Blue Chews on Sunday mornings. He gets a little horned up.
I guess so, man.
Well, I guess on Friday mornings, I guess it doesn't matter what day it is.
Yeah, true.
Andy's getting horned up before these games. Appreciate the 5, Hannah. Elizabeth with another 15, baby. Let's go. She says, thank you for answering my question. Also, sorry for another question, but do you think they're concerned over the defensive performance the last 2 games? Appreciate the support for the channel, Elizabeth. That goes a long way. And don't be sorry to ask questions. That's what we're here for. So the defense, Mike. I think the defense the last couple of games, to me, it's almost like it almost feels like they're getting tired at this point. It's like, why are they ramping down some? Which normally with Spags defense is about the back half of the seasons when they start to click and they start to be very dominant. This season, we've kind of seen that reverse effect if you're just taking the last 2 games into account. What do you think the big problem is? To me, it's as simple as you got to get after the quarterback, and we're not doing it.
Yeah. Well, you've seen it a little bit last game. Omenihu come back. You've seen George get, he got back on the board. Chris Jones looked a little better the other day. There's just a lot there. We've dealt with Mike Dana having that pec injury. Behind Mike Dana, you didn't have a lot. Even coming to the season, you had a couple young guys there. You had Felix, and I'm sorry, but Felix looked better. He showed a little bit of progression in camp, but it's really not like taken off for him. It's really been a tough go at it for Felix. That his college game is just not translating over to the NFL game. I don't know if it's his get off is a little too slow, or his moves are too predictable, or maybe he's just not playing enough to be able to set his moves up properly, but he's just not getting home. He's not getting enough pressure, and he's really not getting a lot of snaps, to be honest. Like, he's just not making his presence felt. So I think Charles Omenihu's big there. It really is, but I'm with you. I think if the pressure gets home, it doesn't expose the younger corners as much as they have been. I thought the last game, again, I know people get tired of hearing it. I thought Joshua Williams looked okay, and Najee got benched. And honestly, I'm not one of those people that think Najee's just like the worst guy ever. But Najee does not have as much experience back there. He just don't. He missed a whole season to IR.
Right.
He didn't get to play a lot during this offseason because he was dealing with a hammy issue. He starts 4 games. He's getting picked on a little bit because nobody wants to go to Trent McDuffie. You're not going to throw to Trent McDuffie, so you got to throw somewhere. So that's where they're looking to throw. The guys that he's been guarding has made some good catches, some good like over the shoulder grabs. You've seen it with Josh Allen, and so it's like he's not been playing the worst, but he's looked bad at times. And props to Spags for finally getting back to Josh Williams. He even tried Keith Taylor a little bit. I think all that's going to come around. We've got to figure out a way to get the safeties not matched up man-to-man. I think that's your big one. That's where you're seeing a lot of chunk plays. You've seen it with Justin Reed on Trey Tucker the other day. He just couldn't get it. Perfectly designed play by the Raiders to you put him in motion and get him on Justin Reed, and Justin Reed kind of trips. Couldn't keep up with that speed. You were seeing Shamari Connor all day long matched up against Brock Bowers. Come on, Brock Bowers is a playmaker. Shamari Connor's losing that battle 9 out of 10 times, and he did. Right? And you've seen Shamari. He's graded pretty well when it comes to pass coverage, but he's given up a lot. I think he's been thrown to like 50 times and given up like 43 catches. So he basically allows a lot of catches, a lot of yards after the catch. I think he's given up like 500 after the catch. It's just because he's getting put in bad situations. So we've got to find a way to get more. I would love to be able to use Keith Taylor and maybe Josh Williams, or Josh Williams and maybe Najee. I'd love to get to a point to where everybody starts playing a little more confident. The pass rush gets home a little quicker, and you can start sliding McDuffie down into nickel situations on 3rd down. Maybe that would help getting those bad mismatches coming out of the slot and things like that. That's converting these 3rd down and these 3rd and longs even. They're coming from a lot of the tight ends and a lot of the slot receivers.
Right. Well, I think a lot of it goes back to what I was saying, though. I think it's just pass rush in general, because a lot of those plays where these guys are getting matched up in one-on-one, I think it's just because they're selling out, man. They're going after the quarterback and blitzes and stuff like that, and they're not getting home. They're just not getting close. Yeah. So it's creating mismatches out there. I mean, when you try to blitz and you're coming at them with 3 guys that other than the front 4, You got to get there. If not, there's going to be a mismatch somewhere, or someone wide open even. A lot of times that is your tight end, and I think that's why the tight ends have been kicking our ass. So I mean, I think it all stems from the front four.
Isn't that though why we've been saying that the Mahomes Kelsey, that's not looked as clean this year? We even seen it in the last game where he was going to the end zone. Usually they convert that for 6, and Mahomes throws it and Kelsey goes the other way. They're a tick off this year. And we've been saying that if Mahomes could use the tight ends more, and that's why we've been so dominant, because of that connection. Tight ends in this league are a big mismatch. They really are. The way that they play the game and everything, and their size and their speed now, it's a big mismatch. But if we start to use Noah Gray to compensate for a little bit, but we need Kelsey and Noah Gray to be good. But yeah, that's why the other teams are using those tight ends against us. Those are just big mismatches across the board, especially if you got those good tight ends. That's why it was so stupid for me that teams were letting Brock Bowers slide down that low and just saying he's a tight end. Well, he's not a tight end. He's an offensive playmaker. He's a weapon. Like, he's not just a tight end, man. He should be winning Rookie of the Year right now, probably, if it's not a QB award.
You're not wrong, man. I mean, he's probably the closest thing you're going to see to Kelsey, to where he's just a complete all-around offensive weapon, right?
You can put him anywhere. The kid can even block. He blocks well. He blocked well in Georgia, man. Georgia had a heck of a running game, and he was blocking for it. He didn't come off the field.
Right. Appreciate that, Elizabeth. Hannah with the 2 bombs. This question, McDuffie's been struggling. Are you worried, Mike? Are you worried about McDuffie? I'm not, per se, but I think we've known since day one. McDuffie, as much as of a lockdown corner as he is, and the fact that he's always going to be in your hip pocket, he struggles with size. So any kind of receiver that has some size advantage on him, he's going to struggle. You saw Cortland Sutton take him to school a couple weeks back. But, it's not just been that. I think it's almost been like he's been behind a half step lately, too. Do you have any concerns there, or do you think it just kind of goes along what we were talking about already?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think McDuffie's trying to make up for a lot of problems across the board. When the pass rushers are getting home, McDuffie's going to give up some catches here and there, right? Because of his size, speed limitation. But I will say this. McDuffie has played very solid this season. I think he's the 21st ranked statistically corner across the board in the NFL. And I think McDuffie is a top 5, top 10 corner in this league, hands down. I mean, I would put him top 5. I would take him as one of my top 5 corners.
He's a top 5 corner.
Yeah, in my opinion, he is. Now, if you throw at a guy more and more and more, eventually you're going to get some catches. Again, it's hard to play defense in this league.
Right.
You can't even put your hands on these guys half the time. They're running pick plays on you.
It's tough.
It is very, very tough. I even heard a wide receiver yesterday in one of the games I was watching. A corner got flagged for touching the receiver in the back, and it literally impeded no route, no nothing, they call it. And he said, in the year 2024, this coming from an offensive wide receiver, I would not want to play defense in this league. It's impossible to cover people. And the fact that McDuffie can cover as well as he does, and he is that lockdown, even over the last few weeks, he's given up maybe 2 touchdowns in the past 4 or 5 weeks. But that's it for the season. Like, he's not giving up a lot of yards, a lot of catches. We're just used to McDuffie blanking people 24/7, and it's like, well, he don't, Jalen Watson being out's a pretty big deal. Jalen Watson's playing very well. He was one of the top corners in football. It just came out of nowhere.
Which is wild, right?
Which is awesome for Jalen Watson.
Yeah.
Love the fact that he stepped up when we needed it, but that injury hurts. I just feel like injuries across the board have been an Achilles heel for this team. Yes, we've overcame it. Yes, we found ways to win, but I think that's why we've not been so dominant. Is because
I think that basically everything that you had planned on doing the whole offseason, you've kind of had to switch it up. I mean, you're kind of playing on a whim, like going with the flow, like. Andy, there's been times we talked about the game plans from both sides of the ball just looking a little disheveled and like no cohesiveness. I think a lot of that comes from just trying to figure out what they need to do with the guys that they have now, because looking at the roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, you're looking at a lot different players than you were at the beginning of the season. So basically everything that you had coming into the season, you had to throw out the window and start from scratch. And I think they're still figuring it out too. And it's a good problem to have, Mike, at 11-1, I would say.
Yeah, I just think in general the teams maybe in the, what do they call it, like the dog days of the season, right? I feel like they're just kind of sleepwalking a little bit right now. They've already locked up their spot. It's going to be pretty tough to secure that 1 seed. It really is. I think the Chiefs may have to almost, 2 losses? 3 at max, the way Buffalo and everybody's playing, and their schedule is kind of cupcake anyway. So we're getting ready to play 3 games in 10 days. Okay, We're already tired. They made us take a bye week in week 6. I mean, come on,
Mike.
At this
I'm
point,
tired.
you're already tired. Yeah, everybody's tired. Like this season, it feels like it just started, but it also feels like it's went for like 3 years. Like with all the injuries every day, it just seems like we're having to overcome. So it's just one of those things. It really is. But
I wouldn't worry about. I wouldn't worry about McDuffie though. To answer your question, man, I wouldn't worry about McDuffie. Sure. David Mills with the 5 bomb says, I don't know what it is, but since Coach EB left, we're not the same. As much as people was mad with him, he held people accountable. I think that's something that can be discussed. I mean, both sides of the fence have a decent argument, I suppose. I'm on the side of the fence that says I don't think the offensive coordinator has a whole hell of a effect on our offense. Like they do, but they don't. Because Andy is by all means in charge of this offense. He's calling plays, a lot of different things like that. Now, as far as coming up with the game plans and stuff, that's all on Nagy, and that was EB. And then, of course, what David's talking about is just the accountability factor, that Eric Bieniemy was more of a up-your-ass type guy, and Matt Nagy's more laid back. And I think you could see that. But in my opinion, it's kind of like you have to have a happy medium there. I feel like both of them can be a detriment to your team. If you want to talk about players not being held accountable now, we can also go back to the AFC Championship game a few years back with the Bengals, where Eric Bieniemy throwing a hissy fit on the sidelines and pissing everybody off caused a downfall. So just killing your locker room, acting a certain type of way. So, I mean, it's a fine line.
I see his point. Nagy is more just reserved. Have we ever seen Nagy mad at somebody? Like, maybe. I don't know. But EB, at least, he expected a little bit more. We've said that time and time again. EB's more of like the hard ass that wants to hold you accountable. And it feels like Matt Nagy's more of like everybody's buddy. Now, is that true? I don't know. It's just what it comes off on
It's
the
the
side.
vibe you get. Yeah.
Yeah, so I totally get David's point here. I feel like maybe, and even to your point, these guys might not call the plays in the moment, but I think they could heavily influence what Andy's doing. If Andy's calling, this, and this, then it's very possible Nagy or even Bieniemy when he was there could have been like, hey, man, we need to start focusing on the run game a little more. Hey, Pat's not in rhythm. Let's call some more short yardage passes. Hey, let's not do this trick play for the 14th time on the shovel pass. So there maybe is that thing. And maybe EB was a little better at knowing his players and their strengths than Matt Nagy is, because it seems like sometimes Matt Nagy in this offense looks lost a little bit. And again, that's on Andy too. But
we also had stretches of that when EB was there.
We did, but didn't it still feel like we were putting up 30 plus, a lot more with EB than we've ever done with Matt Nagy?
Well, let's take it back to 2017 when Patrick Mahomes was still on the bench. We had Alex Smith. We had Matt Nagy calling the plays, and Alex Smith was the league leader in deep passing.
Well, he wasn't calling the plays.
We were out there. Do what?
So you wouldn't call it the plays.
But exactly, but that's the thing. I mean, he was the offensive coordinator then, and that team was more high powered than what we have now. So it's just really hard to pinpoint.
Could it just be though the fact that him and Andy were more in sync with that offense and their weapons, and they knew what to use and how to use it and when to use it? And now it's like there's so many moving pieces. Maybe they don't understand, because it almost feels like they don't understand how to use Xavier Worthy. At first, it was just run him deep until his legs fall off. And then it's become now they're trying to use him more in the short passing game, but it's still not enough. It still doesn't look right. Like the whole offense looks just like at times, it just looks like they're throwing plays at a dartboard. Like there's no game plan.
That's what I'm saying. There's no cohesiveness there. I think they'll eventually get that together. Once you get all the pieces set in right, and of course you still got guys coming back. We're talking about today, Hollywood Brown likely to come back mid-December, probably week 15, week 16, something like that. I mean, now you got another piece in there that you have to account for. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's still, like you said, there's just been a lot of moving pieces. I think they'll eventually get it.
Hey, shout out Brandon Perna for being in the chat today. Appreciate you, brother.
Let's go, baby. Appreciate the 5, David. But yeah, man, I'm not sure about that. That one's kind of up in the air. Elizabeth with another 5 says, sorry, my last question had a question mark after the first sentence. I meant to put an exclamation point. Sorry. No need to apologize. Appreciate the support, Elizabeth. But yeah, Mike, I mean, exciting news for the Chiefs. Exciting news for the Chiefs. Hollywood Brown likely to be back by week 15, week 16, according to Ian Rapoport. So the Chiefs are going to have another weapon on offense, Mike, and that's freaking awesome. Just real quick, wanted to tell everybody thanks for being here this morning. If you've just came in, welcome in. That's what we're talking about today. Also, if you haven't hit that like button yet, do us a favor and hit the like button. Helps get out to more people. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like what you're seeing, if you love the Chiefs, go ahead and do that. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers before the Super Bowl. We got some work to do if you look right there. We still need about 11,000 of y'all. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to take a quick 30-second break. When we get back, we're going to talk some more Chiefs football. Christmas is right around the corner, and we've brought back the popular Merry Chiefsmas sweater and hoodie in the store. Just go to merch.allchiefedup.com and you can use the code ACUSANTA, that's ACUSANTA, and you can get 20% off of everything in the store until the end of the year. So get your hands on those and give some gifts to your family and friends. Do it.
Do it to it, Law. Steve, we got JCP in the chat. He says
Let
YouTube member.
the
YouTube
boy
member.
Watch.
Let him watch. Now he's
Let
going to
him
be
watch.
watching as
Let
a
him
member.
be a member, baby. Let's go.
Javier Sanchez with a 5
Javier
bomb.
Sanchez.
He says, put McCole Harmon in at left tackle.
I mean, he's effective everywhere he goes, right?
I could almost see McCole Harmon. I mean, he'd be quicker getting out, out of his
Right.
stance.
Mike, we haven't given a round of applause today. I'm going to give one out to McCole Hardman. Did you watch the Hallmark movie?
I did. I
Did you?
wanted to watch
Hey.
it because I wanted to talk about it today.
Hey, McCole, you did a good job. You did a good job. You're not a terrible actor. So
Steve-
shout out McCole Hardman, baby.
Okay, thank Javier lightened it up a little bit. Before we talk a little bit more football and get back into the serious stuff, what did you think of the Hallmark movie?
I
The
loved
Chiefs
it.
Hallmark movie.
I loved it. It's to me, it's like I was telling the old lady, Mike. I said it's almost like they just came up with an idea just for me. Because what do I love? I love the Chiefs, and I love cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies. And they smashed them together, and they're like, "Here's Steve. Here's your good movie to watch." Had a good time.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Chiefs Hallmark movie. I see it in two different ways. I love those types of movies. I watch them every year because why not? It's like a guilty pleasure.
Of course.
And if you're going into it as a movie fan, that was a top tier Hallmark movie, top tier Hallmark Christmas movie. Going into it as a Chief fan, I found it kind of cringe a little bit. I felt it was a little cringe on the Chiefs stuff. It almost felt as if they were trying to introduce the world to the Kansas City Chiefs. It just felt a lot. And it was like, this is going to it just felt weird in my opinion. It felt like a Chiefs infomercial for 2 hours. And it was just weird in a way.
Shut up. What? I said shut up.
Mike,
Dude,
shut up.
It was just a little cringe. I'm not
No,
going to
it
spoil
wasn't.
it. I'm
It
not
was good.
spoiling it. But I
Mike,
just,
that's the thing.
Steve, I felt like it was a movie for bandwagoner fans more than
That's
it was
fine.
for the OGs.
Welcome in.
Even
Welcome to the
though
kingdom,
it was
baby.
a movie about OG Chief fans. And it
Welcome
just had
in.
the vibe.
I'm okay with it. And here's the thing. Literally, the Chiefs were so irrelevant 10 years ago, no one gave a crap. Like, no one cared. If you were wearing Chiefs gear out in public and you weren't in Kansas City, everybody would be like, what? You're a Chiefs fan? Like, would you get that at Goodwill? Was it on sale? Like, no one cared about the Chiefs. No one gave a crap. Now, they have their own damn movie. Okay?
That's why I find it cringe.
It's not cringy. It's,
Here's why.
Look,
Here's why.
Look,
because
man.
I felt like I've been a fan for 40 years. And the other guys on here have been fans, and guys and gals have probably been fans longer than that. Maybe you've seen the first Super Bowl. We've got people in here that's been through that. We've went through all the difficult times. And to see, it's almost just as if we've got to this point to where they're just marketing us. It's just weird to me. It feels like it's like,
Well,
dude, if you wasn't here
let me
during the
ask you
bad
this.
times, I don't want your stupid Hallmark movie, bro.
Give me the Hallmark movie. Give us our due, okay? And here's the thing about it. Have you ever
just a
watched
diehard, dude.
Have you ever watched a Hallmark Christmas movie, or as a matter of fact, have you ever watched any Christmas movie that wasn't a little bit cringe?
Yeah, but when it's a Chiefs
That's
cringe,
part
it hits
of
a little
it.
too
That's
close to
part of
home.
the recipe. That's what they do. They're like a little bit of cringe in there, baby. Sprinkle it in.
I
Salt
was expecting
Bae.
out of all the Chiefs players, I was expecting to see like Mahomes or Kelsey.
No, that's another thing I talked about. They're too famous for Hallmark. They couldn't even get
They
them.
weren't- Even Andy Reid, did he even have an appearance?
Yeah, he did. He said, "Get off the damn field."
Oh
Let's
yeah,
go."
he did.
And then I think at one point he said, "Bundle of Rooski Doo."
Doo. Hey,
Mike, we got Kevin Anderson with the 2-bomb. He says, "Are we more scared of the Bills or the Steelers?" We ain't scared of nobody, Kevin. Nobody. Now the Bills, they do look good. I'll give them that. They look good. And when we played them, they didn't even have Dalton Kincaid, and we suck with tight ends. So, is there some concern? I don't think so, because we beat the Bills in the playoffs, and we've already lost to them once in the regular season. Can't do it again. So, no, I'm not afraid of them. The Steelers, they have a hell of a defense. But I think if we could figure out a way to keep Russell Wilson or Justin Fields or whoever the hell they decide to use as quarterback from putting points on the board, I don't think it matters that much.
well, I passed right by the stadium yesterday where Cincinnati plays home games, and I give them a little curse and a little jinx.
You
and
did.
it just knocked them right out of the playoff contention, but it helped the Steelers a little bit. I was kind of rooting for Joe Burrow yesterday. Like, it pained my heart to root for the Bengals, but
I didn't
kind of
watch
wanted to see
any
the
football.
Steelers take an L there. But
Am I the only person that if the Chiefs aren't playing, I just can't find it in me to give a crap?
Are we the only team that can't put 40 points on the Bengals?
Yes.
Like the greatest quarterback in the world, and every time they play us, they're just the 85 Bears, and we can barely muster
Mike,
up points.
we're struggling with it right now. It'll be okay though. If we're struggling with it, 11-1.
What do you mean right now? Every time we play the Bengals, it's been 4 years now. Every time we play them, we crap the bed and can't score anything. Mahomes looks as if he's never seen a football. In the
Maybe
history
it's a
of the
charity
world.
case where we're like, let's give them a little bit of hope.
Why does he do that? Did they put him in like a trance? Is there like a curse?
Maybe. Shout out Space for becoming a member. Appreciate you, my man. Thanks for being a member of the crew. Then we got William with the 7 Canadian.
Kenyatis.
Kenyatis. At first, I thought Worthy wasn't physical enough, but now I think he's the truth. Playoff Worthy will be a thing if the O-line doesn't evaporate. Appreciate the support, William, and I like the sentiment, and that's the thing, man. I think that way back at draft time, I kind of felt like from watching college tape and stuff that Xavier Worthy was a one-trick pony. It's a guy that's just really fast. I did see some good route running qualities in him at Texas, but I just really thought this guy's small. He's just another guy that runs really fast. So what are we going to do with him? But I'll tell you this, Xavier Worthy has blown my expectations out of the water. I think he is a good receiver. I think that he runs good routes. I think he's smart. He's got to work on some little things like his field awareness and stuff like that, but that'll come along with experience. But we're able to use Xavier Worthy in a lot of different ways, and that's something Mike was talking about earlier. We can blow the top off the defense with Xavier Worthy. He gives Mahomes a chance to hit a long ball at least 3 times a game because he wins those routes. So it's just if Mahomes can make the throw or not. And then other than that, I think I've been kind of pressing all year. I'm like, why don't we use this kid on drag routes, mesh routes, like let him beat people east to west and then get the yak. Like, why are we not doing that? We started to see that a little bit more in the last couple of weeks. Xavier Worthy can do a lot of different things, and he can still be your gadget guy. He can still run the jet sweeps. He could take McCole Hardman's job if he's not careful.
We seen more of it in the first part of the Panthers game. I feel like the Raiders game, we got back into some weird stuff.
Well, of course.
You know,
that's what
because
we do.
Andy doesn't want to, just keep going with what works.
Why would you?
Why would you want to do that? Let's just do a bunch of crap that we don't, succeed in. But
Well, to William's point here, Mike, do you think in the playoffs, you think Xavier Worthy, is it going to be a thing, playoff worthy, especially if they get back Hollywood Brown? What do you think?
well, the way they used him versus the Bills, it's possible he can handle a bigger workload if you put him in the right situations, if the O-line's blocking. I mean, a lot of times what Worthy does needs time to develop. That's just the way it is, even though he can run like a .2 yard 40. Okay, he's like lightning bolt, but you still take a little bit of time. So
well, I mean, even the little quick hitters out to him, just a little screen pass, he can get you.
Yeah, that's
you know,
what I
8,
want to see
10,
more
11
of.
yards
I want to see
quick.
more. Do you think they're not doing that because he says he's physical, but do you think they're trying to evaporate some of those hits, to use his word right there at the end? Do you think they're trying to take some of those hits off Xavier Worthy, and they know if they use them underneath a lot, use them in the screen game, it may put them, this isn't a time where you need him to miss some time.
That's true, but you can't put him in a bubble. You just can't. I mean, if he's an NFL player, get him out there, let him go. He's going to take a hit here.
I think Hollywood's going to be big, though, when he comes back. I really do think that's a whole different dynamic we've yet to see, but I think it could be big.
Right. I clicked the wrong thing here. But Bill says, do you think Hollywood Brown will take away from Worthy? Do you think that's the thing? I think a lot of people think they're similar players. I think it's going to help them, too. I think it's quite the opposite, Bill.
I think what that's going to do now is you're going to see Hollywood and Xavier Worthy kind of run a lot, from the outside or different things. It's going to allow Hopkins to play more slot. Maybe Hopkins can now take a little bit more snaps. Maybe they were hoping that they could kind of ease Hopkins in, and then once the playoffs come around, you can kind of unleash him a little more. He's a little more healthy, a little more reserved, and then you can kind of fade Justin Watson out a little bit once these three get back on the field, right? You get Hollywood, Worthy, and D-Hop. Now, that's a pretty good trio right there. Match that up with Kelsey, and that might be one of the top.
Pretty good.
Might be one of the top little cores in football right there.
You think? You got 2 Hall of Fame. Look, just Mahomes, Kelsey, D-Hop. You got 3 Hall of Famers. You got a little Hall of Fame triangle, a little menage a trois.
A little triangulation of the Hall of Fame.
What about that?
You got the tip of the triangle up here.
Let's go. They got to get it together, bro. It's going to be a beautiful thing when they get this thing clicking. I'm telling you.
I do want to see more 12 and 13 personnel, though. I know it's hard to run 13 personnel when we don't really have 3 healthy tight ends, but I mean, come on. Maybe have they ever thought of using maybe Carson Steele in sort of some of those tight ends? Because he's got pretty good hands out of the backfield. That's one thing I'll give Carson Steele. For him to be like a more physical running back, he's got soft hands.
Man, it's funny because a lot of people want to talk about him fumbling the ball twice, and I really don't think it's a big deal. I think it was.
I think that's
players.
So far in the rear view.
Yeah,
I think he's had a pretty.
It was just good defensive plays there. I don't think that was anything on him. I mean, he was securing the ball and everything else. I don't think that was a thing, and I don't think it got in his head too much. I'll tell you what's killing Carson Steele.
Pass block.
He can't block. It's not that he can't block,
tough,
and he don't know where to be.
Those are protections. It's tough.
He's not picking up on that at all.
That's why I said, honestly, what may be missing from this entire thing is that third down running back, that Jerick McKinnon, that they felt so comfortable with. He was so good at pass pro. Man. Mahomes relied on him in the pass game.
He didn't miss anything.
And look, Samaje Perine been fine, but he's been just very mid, right? Has
it ain't been the PP on the PP that you were expecting, Mike.
Yeah, he didn't get it. He didn't get it fired up to full cylinders. He didn't crank it up
full staff, baby.
Yeah.
Kevin Anderson with the 5 bomb says, your thoughts on Nick Wright's take of the Chiefs being bored and practicing during the regular season. It seems the Chiefs hit a switch in the playoffs.
Could I say something before you start? Nick Wright. I like Nick Wright. He's a cool dude, Chiefs fan on TV, cool. But the BS he spews is why half the Chiefs fans say the weird stuff they do.
Well, here's the thing, and here's what I want to add to that, because I was right there with you. The thing about it is, Nick Wright says it tongue-in-cheek and to piss people off.
Especially Broussard, right?
Yes. Nick Wright knows that is horse shit.
Yeah, he knows it. But he says it
But he says it anyway. But then because Nick Wright said it, we got 60% of Chiefs Kingdom out there that, regurgitating it as fact.
As the truth.
Oh, well, they're just practicing. They're just practicing, you know.
Guys, they're not doing that. Look,
come on.
If the Chiefs were really just practicing and they really didn't care about this, I just one thing. If they did not try to win games, why does Andy Reid run the most trick plays of anybody in football?
Because they're practicing, Mike.
You'd be more vanilla. But we don't need to practice the freaking shovel pass anymore. We need to throw it away.
Yeah, no, that's a dead narrative.
I got something you can do with that shovel. Go get the shovel and bury it in a hole somewhere. Put that play in the hole. Bury it.
Well, to answer your question, though, Kevin, I don't think that Nick Wright believes that at all.
I don't either.
I think
Nick
he
Wright
likes
just
to
says
push
things.
buttons, and that's what he
It's
gets
the same
paid
way
to
we
do.
do, Steve. We like to piss people off just for the fun of it.
Yeah, true.
And it just
It's
gets
fun
people fired up.
sometimes.
People get so horned up over the internet. It's incredible watching
a little
people
horny
just
out
fight
there.
on the internet.
It's fun. It's a good time. Chief Royal Hawk with the 5 bombs says Andy said basically the run game wasn't working, but Pacheco was averaging 6.29 yards per
Yeah.
carry. Now that could have something to do with the one that he busted off for 30 plus.
It did. But Steve,
it's
he only give him 14 carries total.
the run
Can
game
any
wasn't
running
working.
back get in a rhythm with 7 carries?
Well, here's the thing, and it's kind of what we talked about pre-return of Pacheco. When Pacheco got back and they felt they needed to get him back involved in it, was it going to take away from carries from Kareem Hunt and get him out of rhythm?
Right.
Because Kareem Hunt, he's shown over the last 6-7 weeks, whatever it's been, that if you give him the ball consistently, he's going to get you damn near 100 yards or more every game.
And boy,
he's going
he
to get you a
grinds
touchdown
you
or two.
late in the game. He's going to wear you down. And that's the way
Right.
Pop runs too.
Right, but what we saw this last week was exactly what you said. Like, they're splitting the carries. There's no
No
rhythm.
rhythm. Nobody got
so
the hot hand. And
I think they got to
didn't
figure
run
that
the
out
ball.
too. I think
They
it's just
didn't You see, they didn't run the ball enough to grind nobody down in the fourth quarter.
That's true. But I think it's just another piece of the puzzle. It's just something else to figure out.
I
it's
hate
like
this puzzle.
It's like Andy has about 3 or 4 Rubik's cubes right now, and he's trying to
Yeah.
figure them all out at one time. You know, and he's not that guy that can do it blindfolded with one hand.
Yeah, he's not Robbie Rubik's, okay? It's Andy Reid. He's thinking about nuggies, and he's trying to do a Rubik's Cube with his nugget
Everything
grease.
we've talked about, I appreciate the 5, Chief Royal Hawk, but everything we've talked about, Mike, it's literally such a good problem to have. Like, the team hasn't been all the way together. They haven't played their best football. They have not reached their potential. We don't know what to do with the new receivers we got. We got new pieces. We don't really know how to use them properly yet, or we're still trying to figure that out. We got more pieces coming back on the defensive side of the ball. We're trying to figure out, hey, do we need to work on corner over here, or is it because we're not getting pass rush? It's just so – and now we have this problem.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we have 2 starting running backs. So how do we use them? How do we split that? How do we make that effective? These are all damn good problems to have if you're sitting at 11-1 at the top of the entire NFL. Like, is there any other team in football that could be going through the struggles the Chiefs have with injuries and trying to figure things out and get new pieces in? Would they even be close to an 11-1 record? We're talking like, look, if you look at other teams that are having these kind of problems, let's just go to Cincinnati. Go to Cincinnati. How's their season going? You know what I'm saying? It's like
bad.
It's insane. Such a good problem to have, and I think once they can,
you know
if they can
what?
just get a little bit of these puzzle pieces put together, it could be nasty, man.
I watched a little bit of Cincinnati yesterday, and they wasn't great. But I tell you what,
Are they ever?
I'll tell you, T. Higgins could definitely be a force on this team if Mahomes used him properly.
Yeah, we know that.
Well, I'm just saying.
You've questioned it. I'll say that. You've questioned it.
I've questioned
But
it
I feel like
because
most
I don't
people
know
kinda
if we
know
would
that.
use him properly. But he's got very good hands. Like, I noticed that. He's very strong at the catch point. And I was impressed by that yesterday. I've seen that a few times, especially at end zone ball he caught there late in the game. But, Steve, I got a question for you. And everybody in the chat, everybody wants to weigh in on this. This might be the hardest question you get asked today. Okay? And I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer. And it is a very hard question. If the team, for the playoff run, let's just say we get Hollywood back, everybody's back from injury, except for the 2 people I'm getting ready to talk about. If you had to put one of these guys back on here for the run, would you rather put Rashee Rice back on the offense, or would you rather put Jalen Watson back on the defense for the playoff run? Because a lot of people are thinking that cornerback too, that's been a big reason. And now that you got Omenihu back, now you're shut down. Now you're getting after the quarterback, and that defense gets back to being top 5.
I'm taking Rashee Rice.
And then Rashee Rice, yeah, that puts you over the top.
I'm taking Rice.
So
I don't
you're
think
gonna take
that's
Rice. So you would rather take your chances with Josh Williams, Najee Johnson.
I think Josh Williams is fine. Just leave him out there. Let him play.
I think so too, but a lot of people don't.
And
So I'm
here's the thing about it. Like,
I'm seeing a lot of Watsons in the crowd.
look, bro, I
A
don't
lot of
care.
Watsons in the crowd.
Because hear me out. If you get the pass rush squared away, it's not a corner problem. It's really not. And I think Josh Williams is just fine. He's been fine for us for 2 years. He was fine for us in the AFC Championship game. He's fine for us in the Super Bowls. So why is he not fine for us right now? He's fine. And here's the thing. If you put Rashee Rice out there, who was killing it, who was the top 2 receiver in the league when he got hurt.
Steve, you're getting me fired up. Calm down.
You put him out there with D-Hop and a healthy Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster.
You're
saying, God bless, what are they going to do?
Hey, you're saying we're just going to score 50.
We'll score. Look, we've talked about why can't they score?
That?
Why can't they score 30 plus? Why can't they score? Mike, here's the thing: if you had Rashee Rice back on this offense with who we already have, and you can't score 30 points, then give up. Give up, because at that point you should be putting 30 to 40 every game minimum.
I'm sort of with you. In my opinion, Jalen Watson he was having a great season, but I don't really think that's that big of a deal. I think it was Nick Jacobs had a stat the other day, and they said with Watson, without Watson, and people were like making such a huge deal over it. Like with Jalen Watson, without him, we were averaging, I don't know, we've give up 30 more catches in average. And then when you broke that down over the games, it averaged to like 3 catches per game.
Right.
So, I mean, is it really that big of 3 catches per game? I guess. What's the odds that those 3 catches are going to be 80-yard touchdowns? So, I mean, is it really that big of a deal? I feel like a lot of the defense is predicated on how much Chris Jones and George Karlaftis and now Omenihu can just disrupt people.
Absolutely. It's all about that pass rush, man. And I think
can we please get Nick Bolton to stay in the freaking running lanes? He is such a beast when it comes to most things. But sometimes he just has like brain farts on filling running gaps. Like I went back and watched some of that Raiders game, and he missed a couple running gaps like big time. He just wasn't in the right spot. And I don't know if that's a defensive communication either.
I think overall, and you guys can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I think overall a lot of the problems we have are solvable. I think the one that's really lingering and the one that this is really hinging on is that left tackle position getting shored up. I think there's a lot on our new guy, DJ Humphries' shoulders.
Yeah, DJ.
And do you think he'll be able to swing it? We're going to talk about it right after this short ad. Please watch it, and please hang around for us. We appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. And it helps support us by just watching stuff like this and hanging out and not leaving because you don't want to wait for a whole minute. But do us a favor and do it anyway, and we'll be right back.
Today's show is sponsored by Manta Sleep Mask. You got to check this out. We weren't big believers in sleep masks. I thought they were going to be too big, too hot, too bulky. But Manta Sleep Mask changed that perception for me. These sleep masks are so comfortable. You can change the cup around your eye and find a custom fit. That way the mask finds your comfortability. With these pillows around your eyes, you feel zero pressure. And with a 100% blackout technology, you can go to sleep anytime, day or night, no matter how erratic your sleep schedule is. You can go with the sound mask, the pro mask, the silk mask, or just the sleep mask. You should go check out their website by clicking the link we have provided for you in the description below and read up on which option sounds best for you. But regardless of which mask you choose, use our code ACU10 at checkout and receive a 10% discount that we have secured through Manta Sleep for you, Chiefs Kingdom. Again, go to the description, find the link, find the mask you want to try out, use code ACU10 and get yourself some of the best sleep you've ever had in preparation of this long football season.
Let's go, baby. Get down to the description. Click that link. It's the holiday season. Get one of those as a present.
Do you know what else you can use it for?
Gift. What?
When the offense starts looking bad, throw that bad boy on there. You can't see it anymore. If Andy Reid calls another shovel pass, slide that bad boy down over those eyes. You don't have to see that 2-yard loss.
Absolutely. But if you're looking for gift ideas, look no further. Go to that description. Click that link. Also, you go to merch.allchiefdep.com. Get yourself some merchandise over there with the code ACU Santa. Get 20% off for the rest of the year. So go grab yourself some gifts for everybody. Mike, let's talk about that left tackle position because that's what everybody is the most concerned about. That's what they're concerned about, and I think rightfully so. Rightfully so. Wanya Morris has proved to us over the last 2 weeks that he ain't it, and he will never be it. So it looks like we have something going on here, right? Look, Kingsley, I have hope for. Wanya, I do not.
I honestly think both of those two guys could probably play right tackle pretty well. But
Can you play right tackle better than left tackle, like while not giving a shit? Like, is that a thing? Like, if you don't care, if you don't care about football whatsoever,
Steve,
you just want to get out there.
come out and said something yesterday, and everybody loved it. They were like, he took accountability. I'm like, did you forget?
It literally
looked on the sideline.
Even I saw that, and the whole time he was saying it, looked like he was going to burst out laughing. Maybe he's just one of those people when he's nervous, he smiles or laughs.
He can't be serious.
Like, that's what I'm hoping, because like he literally looks like he's not serious at all.
He's
like honestly,
I tried so hard.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's just got some anxiety issues. I don't know, but I don't like it right now.
He's
I don't
probably
like
cheating.
We'll see. But no, let's talk about DJ Humphrey. He has a lot right on his shoulders here, because it seems like people feel that if the left tackle comes in and performs and makes Mahomes a little more comfy, a little more warm and fuzzy inside, that could change everything.
Yeah. I feel like with DJ, here's the thing. Is he going to know every single play? No. D-Hop's been here 5 weeks, and they keep saying he don't know enough. He don't know some of the red zone packages. Well, newsflash, if I'm getting D-Hop, the first thing I'm going to teach him, call me crazy, but the first thing I'm going to teach him is the red zone package.
Right.
I don't know how they dropped the ball with that one. But other than that, okay, DJ Humphrey playing left tackle. I played left tackle a little bit in high school, right? That's the most experiences I have with it. I'll tell you this. You don't really have to know too much if you run like a zone block scheme, and he did come from that. He also come from a similar offense with Cliff Kingsbury with the RPO. So he's got a little bit of that. He's got a little bit of a thing with like quarterbacks that like to get in and out of the pocket. Kyler Murray flat out stinks. He's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in football, I guess, in my opinion. But Mahomes, he will do that same stuff. Yeah, you don't know where he's going to be. He's trying to be in the pocket more this year. I think that's why he's taking more sacks, let's be honest. But I think with DJ, what he's got to do is you just got to say, get this guy, find the correct person with communication, keep him off the quarterback. That's about all they're going to ask for him. And I think he can do that sufficiently. And I think he needs to be playing. Here's the one thing I don't want to see. I don't want to see him rush him in too quickly, get him in some matchup problems with, say, a Khalil Mack or whoever else come with the Chargers, and then he gives up a few early sacks, and then his confidence eats it. I don't want to see that. And now you're dealing with that. A new guy in a new offense lacking confidence. So I want to see him out there playing as much as the next guy, but let's be a little bit smart here and be like, look, let's get him very confident in what he's doing. I don't want him thinking so much to where it turns into like no upgrade, and then that's going to mess with Mahomes. Like, oh God, we brought in DJ Humphries, I'm still getting hit. So I just want to see the confidence, man.
Absolutely. Ronnie Edwards says, what year did y'all play in the NFL? Ronnie, I was drafted in 2007 in round 5 by the Chicago Bears, my man. Yep. Played defensive end for about 4 years, and I hurt my Achilles twice, and it was just too much for me. I had to call it a wrap, man. I had to get back to the old normal life, live the normal life. Mike, when did you play?
2012, Mike Williams coming out of USC. I was drafted in the first round. I was a huge bust.
Yeah, it happens.
Didn't
though,
do nothing, but
in all seriousness, I was kind of wondering where the rest of the sport, like, did other sports shows, do they all play in the NFL? And here's the best part about it. There's a guy in the Chiefs niche named Jason Dunn that did play in the NFL, and you don't even freaking listen to him. So shut up.
That's true. Jason Dunn played in the NFL, dude, and people will argue him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, if there's one guy that knows what's going on inside that facility, I'm going to text that dude and see what's going on, man. I wonder where Nick Wright played. When did he get drafted?
Nick Wright looks like a hell of an ex-NFL player.
Nick Wright looks like...
He could even be a kicker, bro. He probably looks like a shrimp compared to Butker.
Nick Wright would get the shit kicked out of him by the long snapper, bro. Like, and everybody's like, we're practicing. Thanks, Nick.
Man, our boy Kyle says that DJ is an 8-year veteran. If he has a confidence problem that easily, then we messed up bringing him on. I think they have some faith in this kid, right? I think they've seen the tape, and I think that he has a lot to offer. I know he was a Pro Bowler 1 year, but I think
Jacob wins the internet. Nick Wright could be a nose guy.
Yeah. Hey, round of applause for Jacob.
I quit.
go.
That was a good one, man.
Hey, King Jamie says, stop, bro. It's not a bust at all if you made it to the show. Okay? That's all that matters.
I know, but it's rough, dude. Brian says, are we going to see Keith Taylor more at cornerback too? What about moving Najee to the slot? I like the idea of maybe letting Najee play a little bit of slot, but I just don't know. He's fast in a straight line, but I don't know if he's quick enough. I don't know. I'd like to see it. And Keith Taylor, I thought he'd done well. He did just play 2 snaps. I'm still not ready to move off Josh Williams. That may be, look, I may just be hanging on to it. Maybe I like him because his last name's Williams. I don't know. But I think he's got the intangibles to play, and I feel like people just too rough on him too quick. It was weird. People loved Josh Williams last playoff, Steve. They were like, dude, he's one of the top rated. And
right,
like,
that's what I was saying.
happened?
Like, he's been good enough for us in 2 playoff runs, 2 Super Bowls, but he's not good enough for us now. I don't understand that. Get him out there, let him play. As far as, I mean, look at, dude, he's everything you want a corner to be. He's tall. He's long. He's fast. He's physical. He can do all those things. He literally is the epitome of a L'Jarius Sneed type player. Just get him out there, get him the reps.
He's got to get the mental game right.
Exactly. And I think he can get there.
That comes with time. But I would like to see the Keith Taylor thing. I just don't. Maybe we do see him more. Maybe we will see him more. It don't seem like they're sold on the CB2 being a specific person just yet. So maybe we'll see some more Keith Taylor. And I'm fine with it. Maybe Keith Taylor turns out to be a diamond in the rough. You never know.
All right, Mike, let's take one more here. We got Jesus, who says, does Trey Smith get re-signed? Are we going to let him walk because we paid Jawan Taylor? So here's the thing, man. Trey Smith could be a casualty of cap, right? He really could be. And that's gonna rub a lot of Chiefs game the wrong way. People love Trey Smith, and I love Trey Smith. I love his nasty attitude. I love the way he plays the game. And he's been we have a great interior offensive line. Best in football.
Good actor, too.
Yeah, he was pretty good too. I have to say, him and McCole Hardman. Now George Karlaftis, he didn't even have to say anything, and he was a bad actor.
He just looked like he's lost, huh?
He looked a little awkward. Let's just say that. But does he always though?
I thought Mama Kelsey did a decent job.
Mama Kelsey was great. Gotta love
But
Donna.
yeah, getting back to your question, Jesus, I think honestly, Nick Bolton or Trey Smith one's probably going to be out the door. I don't know which one it is, but I feel like maybe Brett Veach works some magic and gets them both. I honestly don't want to see Trey Smith leave, but something tells me that that's going to be the one we're going to have to say goodbye to, and I'm going to be so angry about
it. We'll see. I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't either.
But honestly, it's definitely, I mean,
confused.
like everyone knows, from history that it's easy to.
Can we
it's
say
not
though,
easy, but it's pretty easy to replace a guard.
Paying Jawan Taylor that $80 million was to be able to cause you to not be able to re-sign, and I don't know how you could correlate that together.
I think Jawan Taylor might be getting his walking papers,
but that would be the biggest blunder in NFL history.
Yeah, it's bad.
All the good stuff Brett Veach has done, that goes on the trading all your picks for Ricky Williams thing.
That goes on the drafting Breland Speaks. That goes on the drafting McCole Hardman over DK Metcalf. That goes on the drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Jonathan Taylor, okay? Like, it goes right there in that, right? It has to. I think that the signing of Jawan Taylor was one of the biggest misfires of Brett Veach. And the thing about it is it's not just Jawan Taylor, because I think ultimately Jawan Taylor's a good right tackle. He's a good player, but he has penalty problems, we know. And he's just not been there the last few weeks. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. But that contract is absolutely absurd.
I just thought it was wild. They were trying to sell us that he could go left tackle.
I don't think they ever tried to sell us that. I think that was the fan base imagining things.
Maybe it was.
But or it could have been a little PTSD, because it's exactly what they tried to do with Orlando Brown. Right tackle, move him over to the left.
Instead of signing Jawan Taylor, should we have signed Orlando Brown back, not listen to the fans? He was serviceable enough to win. Maybe you overpay him a little bit, but I don't think it was still going to be $80 million, was it?
Mike, we talked about this.
But let's just say this. What if you sign him back and you've got a serviceable left tackle, and maybe you just try to draft a right tackle? Maybe the right tackle was the position that maybe you could have hit on easier.
You keep trying to tell people sometimes, the grass isn't greener on the other side.
I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but
it wouldn't it have been better than what we're dealing with? I think that's an easy yes.
I will say Orlando Brown kind of was just open the. I mean, look what he's doing to Burrow. He's trying to kill him. So maybe it's not that much better. But I just feel like paying Orlando Brown over paying Jawan Taylor about the same price probably would have been better. I bet Kingsley would be a way better right tackle. I think Wanya would be a way better right tackle. You don't have to.
Yeah. I will tell you this. Like, you could get into it and you could dig up everything and figure out statistically how it was with Orlando Brown or the fact that he's not great all the time. But I will say this. Patrick Mahomes trusted Orlando Brown a hell of a lot more than what he trusts these tackles
it's
right
kind of
now.
weird, too, because, I mean, he did give up a lot. He gave up a lot. Jay with a 5-bomb says, good morning. Good morning,
Good
Jay.
morning, baby.
Are you worried about a loss to the Chargers like I am? Am I worrying too much? Steve, honestly, I'm going to be dead serious, man. The way the Chiefs have played, I know we're getting healthier and everything, but the way we've played, I think over the next 5 games, every one of these 5 teams have a chance to beat us. I think you're crazy if you don't think that any of these guys have. And, I mean, some of them are more of a coin toss than others. I'd say the Chargers are a pretty good 50-50 split. They play us pretty tough every time we play them anyway.
Well, you're getting down to the nitty-gritty. This is a time of year you need to start firing on all cylinders anyway. You need to start getting it together.
Mm-hmm.
The way the Chiefs have looked all this season, they are the epitome of the team that needs to start coming together right now. Like, you're getting ready to head into a stretch of Chargers. You got to play the Browns, which shouldn't be a big deal, but God knows it's going to be, and they just beat
Steelers,
Baltimore.
You get the Texans, you get the Broncos.
Texans, Steelers, Donkeys on the way out. I mean, you got a pretty good stretch of games there. Wild that there's only 5 more regular season games. Wild.
These 3 are important. I mean, Denver may be important at the end of the season too, possibly. But if you take care of business now, I don't think the Denver games is important. But this game's pretty important. This wraps up the AFC West probably. And then you've got, the Steelers. That's a 1 seed fight right there. And then the Texans is just playoff seeding in general. They need to fire right here, man. I know it's 3 games in 10 days, but shouldn't that help a little bit? Maybe that actually helps us. Maybe playing so many games in such short time, Andy can't overthink himself, and we just start relying on talent more than, weird.
Yeah, I think, Jay used the word worried, and I think that if there's a Chiefs fan out there that tries to sell you the fact that they're not a little bit worried about how this team's been playing all season long, they're lying. They're lying. I think being a little bit worried about this game or that game or just the team in general, I think is okay. Like, at the end
you
of the day, be a Chiefs fan, you can love the team, and you can still be worried a little bit about how.
When you say worried, I would worry in a situation if we couldn't make the playoffs. But we've already punched our ticket, and it don't matter if we're Arrowhead or where we are. This team in the playoffs,
I'm more worried about them getting everything to where it needs to be and having a good playoff.
They're a tough out in the playoffs. Yeah. So we're there. We're in the dance. Now we just got to go talk to the hot girl and get her on the floor. We got to get her on the dance floor, baby.
You got to score. You got to score.
Whoa, we ain't getting to that point yet.
Got to score, baby. Is that the Lombardi? Is that scoring?
Oh, my God. We just got horned up in the morning.
Let's go.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for the day, Steve. We appreciate all you guys being here. You guys are the real ones, sticking out your mornings. Y'all go have a good lunch break.
Do it. Do us a favor. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already. And we'll be back. So keep your eyes open. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and hang out with us more often. It's been fun.
Excited to see Hollywood back, Steve.
Let's go, baby. Hollywood's going to be back.
Heaven was a sight from my soul.